Hello and welcome to the Fully Charged Show podcast. My name is Robert Llewellyn and I'm very happy to be joined today by
Johnny Smith with a bad throat, General Lurgy.
Poor Johnny's got a bit of a lurgy. But it's good.
I think my kids have brought it back from school along with their homework.
It is
musical instruments they can't play.
As soon as you've got children at school, you're basically ill for about 15 years. That's how I remember it. They always bring it all back.
But I'm very excited to be. The weather outside is absolutely appalling.
It is grim. Yeah.
But I've got my fleece on. I've got my microphone in front of my chin. I feel like I'm about to commentate on a race that is never going to happen. I'm just looking out of the window and there's just rain pouring down it.
At the wet track.
The wet track. Yep.
But we have got some interesting little snippety stories in the in the greater electric car multiverse.
Yeah, we've kind of got two stories about Volkswagen.
Do you think we should start with them? Because we could start with. I think we should start with a slightly. Let's start with the negative one because it is wicked. Okay. They are
with the headline: VW faces Germany's largest ever legal claim for Dieselgate. Something like that.
Why not? Why not choose that as a topic?
Well, yeah, obviously VW, big group. Making big noises on the electric front, no doubt, as we've said numerous times before, fueled by what has gone on in a very naughty way.
Yeah, it's
with
really
Dieselgate,
bad, isn't it?
And it says, as of the news 3 or 4 days ago, proceedings begin on group civil action with more than 400,000 owners.
That's quite a lot,
to be claiming compensation. Oh my gosh.
That's not 4 or 5 who are a bit disgruntled. That's nearly 500,000 people.
Well, especially in America, there still is fields full of Golfs. I think.
I know it is bad, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Yes,
because the story I read, which this is a slightly different. I mean, this is the culmination of it. But the story I heard, which I can't now, of course, find the link to, was that they did they corrected the cheat, is what they said.
Yes.
And actually...
They cheated?
They cheated on the correction.
The cheat with a cheat.
It's so wrong.
Like a double cheat. Did two negatives make a positive?
No, I don't think they necessarily do.
I don't know. I mean, it's the weird thing is, as soon as and we'll come on to this in the next part of the VW story.
Yeah.
As soon as you mention any electric Volkswagen product
on
online,
Twitter,
there's a certain amount of people out there.
Yeah.
Some of you might be listening who just point blank refuse to ever buy a product from Volkswagen again on the basis that they lied. And
which is fair.
Whilst I understand that rationale. I suppose at the same time maybe they're forgetting that all these bright new clean products have been pushed into production, and accelerated R&D as a result of the naughty diesel. Yeah,
but it's also, the thing that annoys me is that so many other companies are doing exactly the same thing, but it hasn't. And Mercedes vans, for instance, have exactly the same system, and there has been proceedings against them as a result of that. But it didn't get in the news in a big way. I mean, it's the vans rather than the cars, diesel vans. But they're
big polluters.
What they argue comes out of the exhaust pipe. It's the same thing. It's 400 times worse than they claim. So a very similar kind of situation. But because it's sort of not such a popular item, and there's less Mercedes vans around than there are VWs, I suppose that is part of it.
VW were the first to get stung.
The first to get really caught.
They're getting the biggest punch on the chin, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then, it says here, according to Autocar's piece that I read yesterday, the case is viewed as highly significant for owners of all affected VW products, so that's Audi, Porsche, Seat, Skoda, and will likely have a bearing on how the group approaches legal action in other European territories. The VW Group has already reached a settlement with American and Australian owners. Yeah. And if there are any American or Australian owners out there, I am quite intrigued to know what that agreement is. But is vigorously defending European claims as a result of what it says are different regs that it did not breach. Yeah. To date, the scandal, which broke out in 2015, crumbs, is going on for 5 years. Yeah. Has cost VW so far. Oh my gosh!
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah,
has cost VW more than £30 billion.
Pounds, not euros or dollars. Pounds, yeah.
In fines and costs, while it has made a provision of around £1 billion for defending its European cases.
That's unbelievable.
That's just so many rooms full of money.
Yeah.
The law in Germany was changed to allow a group civil action against Volkswagen. Previously, claimants would have had to have taken individual action.
Yeah.
Whoa. 400,000 owners grouped together, with another 100,000 said to still be pursuing individual action.
Because you imagine the legal cost of that, regardless of anything else, the legal cost of dealing with 100,000 cases of civil action against the company is mind-boggling on its own. And how on earth do you manage that? Yeah.
Are they? I know in the States they've taken a lot of the cars back. Now, do they just go, do you know what, do you want to have an electric car instead and no money?
Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yes.
Because that might be a cheaper way of doing it.
Yeah, it probably is.
Instead of arguing about money, it's like, do you want an ID3 with any options you want on it? We'll have it delivered in the next 4 months.
Yeah, okay? I'd go for that one. Yeah.
What's your wife's name? Vera? Brilliant. I'll get your personal plate as well while you're there. It'll say Vera 4 on it. Go.
The line I love is Volkswagen argues that it did not breach European law by using a device to cheat emissions tests. I think this is really interesting, though. So, it used them. Yeah, we used emission tests, but it didn't break the law because the wording of the law in Europe was so lax that they didn't really break the law. Because that's the thing. I think that is the really interesting background to this story, is that the pre-Trump EPA busted Volkswagen because they did the tests, in the real world when the car was driving, putting a thing over the exhaust pipe, reading what the emissions really were, rather than the kind of very, very slack European we put it on a test bed and run it at 22 kilometers an hour, and look, it doesn't do it. Oh, it's really,
with the wheels locked out.
Yeah, it's just like, for goodness sake, that is not how you drive a car. With no wind.
Well, no, it's not, and that's exactly that's the problem. Yeah. But knowing that they didn't breach European laws, you've got to wonder,
what are the European laws?
You've got to wonder, what are the European laws? And like you say, if there's a loophole in a law, then not just car companies, other companies will explore it, because that's just the way.
It works. But you imagine the lobbying that was going on in Brussels by the big car manufacturers in Germany to say, our diesel is very, very clean. And there's some bureaucrat it's the same with any government around the world. They go, oh, really? Oh, that's good. Yeah, the new diesel's really, really clean. God, seriously? I mean, we had it with Gordon Brown here saying diesels, we're going to encourage everyone to use diesel because it's the most eco-fuel and it's the dirtiest there is. It's less CO2, excellent. Slightly less, it's not that much different to petrol, but the particulates tend to be bad for human beings. You'd think someone would have mentioned that in government circles at some point.
I have to say, I very nearly got a bit holier than thou in the school car park last week.
Right.
We were stood at me with a bunch of other parents waiting outside the school gate, and one of the parents pulled up in a big Land Rover and parked it very close to where we were all stood, maybe within about 15 feet, and just left it on.
Left it running.
Sat in it with the windows up, and it wasn't really hot and it wasn't really cold. So I was thinking, well, what are you doing? And left it running for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I was a bit miffed, actually. I was thinking, well, have you got that much money that you can afford to just burn
some diesel for no reason? Yeah.
But it was just bloody smelling.
Yeah.
And I nearly had a word with them.
Oh my God.
And I might write to the school.
Yeah.
I'm getting that cross about it.
That's a better way of doing it. I know. Because, I mean, that's the... I do know
write
that...
to the school.
Yeah. Yes, but it's better to do that, because if you start that, from my experience of parents and schools, I just always smiled at everyone. And was always nice, because then I'd have to see them the next day. So I never, it's a difficult one. You've got to be really diplomatic.
You don't want your mouth to write checks that your ass can't cash, or whatever the old saying is. Is that the saying? I can't remember.
I'm always cashing those checks.
Are you?
Yeah, no.
Can't beat an arse check cashing procedure. It's just the best.
Oh, God. I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Okay, although this is the end of that story. Although this is yet to be confirmed, around 85,000 UK owners are reported to have launched a joint civil action against VW, which will begin in December. Oh, my God, I didn't know about that.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah, so happy Christmas, all you 85,000 diesel VW owners.
A full hearing will likely take place after spring 2020.
Yeah.
At the same time as the ID being chugged out into full production, I suppose.
Yeah, but it is that after that very, very negative. I think there's no way of hiding it. Extremely. I'm hoping that noise in the background is thunder rather than the beginning. It's thunder, I think, rather than the actual apocalypse.
You got a thunderstorm kicking off.
I think we got a thunderstorm. Yeah. Either that or a building's just fallen over. Something quite big.
It did. I mean, it did sound quite thunderous. I didn't know whether that was, tummy rumblings, or
well, it could be that as well,
or something else.
It's very severe.
Something else.
Actually, it would be. It's fatal tummy rumblings, because it would mean my stomach had literally fallen out on the floor and exploded. But the other one, so to balance that very negative VW story. What is happening with their electric stuff that we've seen and we've sniffed at, and I've driven a little bit, is the cost of their batteries. There's lots of stories about this, and I think they need to be taken with a very large handful of salt. But because they're talking about making 2 to 3 million electric cars by 2025. So massive numbers.
Crumbs.
And that in alone means that they've got to be able to produce those batteries, and the cost of their batteries. There's rumours going around that they have reached the $100 per kilowatt hour manufacturing cost with batteries, which I don't think they have.
Have they?
I don't think it. But they're likely to drive the price down.
When will they admit it?
Yeah. Well, yes. I think there is a story about the 100, which again I can't find, but I think it's not worth. I remember you
telling me about that.
Yeah, I think the point is that they will have such massive economies of scale, because that's the one thing we know they can do.
Yes.
That it's likely to bring. So they've announced that they're seeing price parity soon, as in a new electric car will cost the same as a new petrol car. It's not going to be that extra £7,000 on top, which is what they are at the moment, which would be, and they're talking by 2020, 2021, that sort of era of...
Yes.
I'm just now desperately looking for the bits that tell you that. But anyway, so that was the gist of it, was, because they're really, as far as I can see, the first really, to be talking in those kind of numbers, in millions of cars, rather than we hope to make 5,000 in the first year or something like that. It's because obviously, I mean, I've just driven
absolutely. That was always their aim, wasn't it?
Yeah,
successful mass production
without
hiccups, and I suppose without hitting the bottlenecks that Kia and Hyundai are experiencing, and Tesla with the Model 3, I guess, as well. And anybody else you want to throw in there? I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I mean, actually, it seems to be like Nissan and Renault seem to have it ironed out. There was a period, but that was probably 4 or 5 years ago, where Renault said they were having trouble procuring enough batteries. I was definitely told without any question. I sat next to the head of Renault's electric car development, Gilles. I remember his first name. He's a very nice guy. And
Gilles,
yes, Gilles. He's proper. He's very good. You've
driven that car, haven't you? We haven't spoken since you drove.
No, I know. Zoe. I mean, I really enjoyed driving it. It's a really great car. Yeah, it is it's just a nice little car to drive. It's really simple. The human machine interface works.
Oh,
Ooh, and that's been
HMI.
The HMI. It actually works. I knew what to do. I knew how fast I was going, how much energy I was using, how much was in the battery, like instantly, without being told. Oh, that's what tells you that. It's all really clear on the dash. That's
very, very good. That's a sign of a good piece of engineering.
I think so. Really simple to use. And then to change it, it was a little button on the steering wheel, and you do it, and you go, oh, that's what it does. And you do that. Oh, there, it's gone back. I learned how to do that stuff in the 3 seconds after I turned it on. It was really simple. The sat-nav screen is great. It's got a 9-inch screen in the middle, which because it's
got a portrait, hasn't it?
Yeah. And that
I sat in it, and did yours have tweed seats?
It had the rewoven, reused seatbelt and plastic bottle fabric.
It's lovely.
It's great. It's really good.
I love it. It's really cosy and it's classy, and I think.
And all the plastic.
Bring it on.
Every bit of plastic inside that car, so the interior fittings, the door sides, the dash, the mouldings, all of it, 100% recycled plastic. They don't use any new plastic at all. And that
I'm really looking forward to driving that car. Well done, Renault.
No, it was. I was really impressed, and as always, because it's that thing where the first leg of that journey, which was somewhere around 180 kilometres. I logged everything. I knew how much I used. I kept a track of it. We had 64%, I believe, left when we got to the lunch place, and the other journalist I spoke to had 44% left. So I think I did quite well, because they'd obviously thrashed it.
I think you're a seasoned type of
But actually, I was driving at the proper speed limit. I wasn't like doing clever stuff. And we did lots of mountains. I mean, that's a hilly old bit of road we went in Sardinia. It was quite a lot of and lots of hairpin bends going down the hill, doing a bit of regen. Stuart, the cameraman, went a bit quiet and a bit green when I was hacking it around the corners. But it was great, really good fun.
Went a bit quiet.
Yeah. But then on the way back, of course, then we got to rush because we got to get the bus to get to the airport, blah, blah, blah. I didn't keep a record of anything. But it still had... I had 22% when I got back to the hotel. And I'd say it was getting on, well over 200-mile drive. I don't know how much, just from looking at the map, it has to be.
Okay, so a serious drive.
Still had 20% left, and we drove it back anything but light-footed and economically because we were in a rush. So there was a whole string of high-speed Zoes rattling through the mountain. Well, not rattling, hissing.
So you well over 200 miles, even when driven fairly badly.
There's no way you'd have to be on a track to get that car under 200 miles range, in the winter. No, it's got a really reliable 240, I would say, in any weather, any time, if you drive carefully. And
that's really good.
We had 21 or 22% when we got back to the hotel from that whole journey. So we could have done another 40, 50 miles without any trouble. No, it's extraordinary.
And the cost price of that car is key.
If you lease the
23,
batteries,
24.
If you lease the battery, so if you go for the battery lease option, 18.5 grand on the road.
Really?
But that's leasing the battery, and the battery lease is about £47 a month. Because you can buy it outright. It's about 23.5, 24. If you buy the battery, but if you don't buy the battery, and apparently the majority of their sales are people buying it without the battery, and they lease the battery. Because all I hear is complaints about people moaning, I need to buy the battery, I don't want to lease it. Which you can buy it outright, and you have been able to since probably a year. When they launched it, they only did it with a leased battery. But about a year later, they changed it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So many years now, you've had the option.
Yeah, and actually thinking about it, you think it's not a bad idea because the fuel cost is so low that if you're paying 45, 50 quid a month for the lease, it's like I don't know, because you're buying the cheapest electric car on the market, really. Surely for a new one, but not with that kind of range as well.
Yeah, and I think when I did the walk around video of it, I was really, really pleased with it. I think the interior is right.
The interior
improvements where it needed. The app looked promising. Did you piddle around with the app?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I didn't have enough time to really get to use it, but the sat nav, brilliant, absolutely faultless, cool. Really, really good. Because I've done those sort of drives before where there is a sat nav, and you're on a and it's particularly somewhere like Sardinia, Italian roads, lots of weird junctions with 14 different choices, none of which have got a sign. And I never got lost. I never took the wrong turning and went, oh God, we got to go back. I've done the wrong one. So it worked really well. And I'm quite good at doing that. I have done that many times.
I've not been back to Sardinia since I wrote off a Mondeo. There's no correlation to that. It's just absolute chance that I haven't been back to that country since
you wrote
going
off
on
a
the Ford Mondeo launch, which was a while ago.
Yeah,
it was a while ago, and unfortunately, the car got heavily damaged.
I like the fact that it got heavily damaged, not you damaged it. It
got heavily damaged. It sustained heavy damage. It did, and this was the same year that. What year was this? It's the same year that James Bond Casino Royale came out. So Thingy's first film, Daniel Craig's first Bond film.
Yeah. So
it was a while ago.
It was a while ago. Yeah. No, you've got you haven't.
Ford has forgiven me.
Right, that's good. So we don't know. Well, we'll soon be able to be equally impressed with the VW. I still haven't got over when you told me about the 77 kilowatt hour battery. I think I've actually been dreaming about that. In a sort of, I've been having fantasies about 77 kilowatt hour ID.
How weird that you've just said that.
Oh,
because the next thing I was going to say is I've had a dream last week several times.
Wow.
And it was that I ordered an ID Buzz and it was one of the first ones in the country, and it looked exactly the same as the concept.
Wow.
And I had this dream.
And that was an actual dream you had when you were asleep that you remembered?
Yeah, it was an actual dream. And it's so odd that you've dreamt about VW IDs, and I have as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I actually dreamt one, because I can never remember my dreams.
I can't normally.
No, well, that's very rare, because being married to a woman whose speciality is dreams and dream studies, I'm so embarrassed that I never remember mine. Every now and then I do, and it's usually that I'm naked and flying upside down in a gay nightclub surrounded by, nude chimps.
What?
No, I don't.
Seriously?
I have had a flying upside down dream where all my money was dropping out my pockets, but I think I was about 17. It was a very confusing dream.
That's just brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I very rarely remember my dreams.
Yeah, I never do. Yeah.
My wife remembers all of hers, and they're always quite out there.
Yeah, no, they're great. I love a good dream story. Talking of dreams, that's such a terrible segue.
Can come true.
Dreams can come true. I just like the idea of small, easy to park urban electric vehicles, because we've done so many particularly recently SUV. We've covered so many kind of big, and they're great. I argue in my Renault review that those are relevant and important because they push the technology, but they are, like, we're talking mostly cars that are between 60 and 150,000 pounds, which is, in any normal human being's book, quite high end.
Yes,
but this one, I just love this little Nissan, which I'm not quite sure, the Nissan IMK, which is
I saw a picture of that. It looks really cool.
Really kind of cut off short. So it's sort of not quite smart. It's not quite as good looking as a smart car, because I do love the smart, but it's that sort of scale, isn't it? The 4-door smart. It's really sort of super short. It's a small EV for a new era. There we go.
It does look like the smart. Yeah, the smart 4.4.
Yeah, the 4.4. That's right. Yeah,
as will be. I'm now trying to find a picture of it again.
There's lots of,
it looks like a K car to me, like a Japanese K car.
I've got a feeling it's possibly a Japan only car, but it's I'm trying to.
The first thing I noticed was how pleasant it was that Nissan are making some cool looking cars again, because I really think that Nissan have done some fairly dull products quite recently.
Yeah.
And it's odd that they were really out there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've almost become too sensible trousers about it. And like the Micra is the most forgettable car out there now, and they've tried to make them all look similar to the current Leaf.
Yes.
which is an okay looking car, but looks aren't its strong point. Everyone
you wouldn't
secretly
buy it for
wants,
its looks, would you? Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. And I would really love it if Nissan was to be a little bit more creative again.
Yeah.
As well as pushing forward and putting the EV drivetrain into other products other than the Leaf.
Yeah.
Which they've not really done much of.
Because I think that's definitely the thing about the I don't want to keep going on about the Renault, but it's just the most recent. But when you drive an electric car that's made by a company that's been making electric cars for, 2012 was when they launched it, so nearly 10 years, and they've done 2 or 3 generations. This is effectively, I suppose, the 3rd generation Zoe. They've got all those extra bits that might be frustrating in the 1st generation of an electric car. They've got that.
They've ironed it all out.
Worked it out. Yeah, they've got CCS charging now. They've got 22 kilowatt charge. I was impressed with that. 22 kilowatt, Type 2 connectors. So like a destination charger. 22 kilowatts will give you 70 or 80 miles in an hour. So while you're having lunch in your little roadside cafe with destination charges, you can add 70 or 80 miles. He's not waiting for it. He's just doing it anyway. You're going to be there anyway. That stuff is really cool.
And with the range that you've just mentioned in the real world, I'm getting a little bit flustered and excited.
Yeah, no, it's good.
About the Zoe.
Yeah. No, it's
like
really
the
good.
Zoe?
Yeah, no, it was really good. There was one other story. What was that other story we were gonna?
Oh yeah. There's one in Auto Express that came out actually 2 days ago, so 30th of September, and it's interesting because it says electric car charging firms agree on single subscription model.
Nice.
So this is the thing we've been banging on for ages about, the complexity of who do you subscribe to get your swipe card, to get your access to all the charge points available. Cast your net as wide as you can.
Yeah.
9 charging firms in the UK and Nordic countries will allow drivers to access their networks via one single subscription. A number of major electric car charging companies, they've signed a pledge across Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, UK. They include Allego, EV Box, New Motion, Charge for Europe, Charge Map, Charge Point, Engini, Franklin Energy, and Travel Card.
Because I'm just trying to think.
So in other words,
none of those are that. Some of them are in the UK, of those definitely, but it's not.
It's
it's not the
European
big
focused.
It's mostly European, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
so it allows drivers to pay for the services via one sub, but will also share charging station information with one another, so users can see which charge points are free and how much it'll cost to charge each one. Blah blah. So that's kind of good. A New Motion, which is part of the Shell Group now, I think. Yeah. It says EV drivers needing various membership subscriptions, payment cards to access different networks has created an inconsistent experience for customers. Whereas
you don't say.
It believes a more joined up. Yeah, exactly. Whereas a more joined up, consumer friendly system could make EVs more desirable. Well,
it would make such a difference.
It's something which Robert might have been talking about for the last 6 years. And we all agree. No one's disagreeing.
Including at the Houses of Parliament, when I spoke to the House of Commons Committee on Electric Vehicles and Infrastructure, or whatever it was. That was the first point I made. That make it so that when I go to a charger, I can buy the electricity. I don't. I'm very happy to pay for it.
You want
make it easy.
You kind of want PayPal. Do you not want? It's like PayPal, when PayPal is now at a point where it's so strong that you can choose it instead of your debit card, your credit card, or whatever else, and then PayPal will sort out behind the pay fence who takes a 1% of what and who gets that. As a consumer, I don't give a toss. What I want to know is that I can quickly pay for something without having to load up more personal details, without getting bogged down. I don't want to stand in the rain. I just want to get the damn thing going. So please, can we just do more of this?
Yeah, because there's two things I think that have now become sort of this is how we should do it. I don't care about all your other systems or whatever, or even the speed of the chargers. This is what we need. I want to walk up to the charger, plug it in, and it starts charging my car, and I want you to work out how I pay for that, and I'm very happy to pay for it. But the other one is, I want to drive to somewhere where it's out of the rain, where there's a canopy, like you have in petrol stations, so that when you're plugging your car in, you're not standing in the rain trying to get the app to work when it's got rain all over the screen, all those things. I mean, it's not...
I did actually do that last week. Yeah, it was a little depressing.
Oh God! And when
just
you think of when we've been to
my app had a hizzy fit, and I had to reload it all. And
oh God! Because when you think of Fastned, and you're under a cover when you plug the car in. I mean, remember that rainstorm we were in we were somewhere, but the car was dry. When we went back to the car, even though we had to wade through some Belgian flooding. I don't know. Actually, we were in the Netherlands, weren't we? But I do remember thinking, that puddle isn't that deep. I'll just put one foot in it. And it went up to over my ankle. And I went, oh, yes, that is quite deep.
Yeah.
But
I think that would be a really, really, a really big change of acceptance for a lot of people I speak to. That is the one thing. They're fine with living with an electric car as in their family or as their main vehicle, but it's the whole I don't want to get the chairs out when it comes to knowing how to charge it.
Exactly. No,
and I do understand that. I really
that
do.
Is me too. And I mean, and it is a real. If you wanted to, delay the adoption of electric vehicles, the best story, which actually people don't do because they still go on, the electricity comes from coal and all those, or they don't have the range. They do have the range. It doesn't come from coal, but charging it without 55 different cards on apps is a pain. That is a genuine, for real criticism of the whole system, particularly in the UK. It's really, really annoying. And that's got to be solved. It really has. And that is why, I'm really proud that we've covered the charging stations at BP and Shell garages, because you just touch to pay with your card and it works.
Yeah. It's just really important. What card have I got in my pocket? Yeah. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Well, we've got another bit of news, and this one's from my old faithful autocar. Jaguar is rapidly improving waiting times for its I-Pace.
Right.
Want an I-Pace? Jaguar has the waiting list down to around 3 months in the UK, it says, having secured extra stock for the home market. Some 2,500 I-Paces have found buyers in the UK to date, with plenty more expected in 2020. The NHS, it says, has just ordered 500.
500. That is...
Has it?
That is the most extraordinary
500
thing.
500 I-Paces for the NHS?
Yeah. Well, our wonderful current government, who, as we know, are one of the most stable and well-balanced political groups we've ever had in our history, have just promised billions of pounds for the NHS, which, we know they're just going to be building hospitals by the hundred. So obviously... they need a lot of I-Paces. Why does the NHS need 500 I-Paces? I'm very glad they're buying electric cars rather than diesel ones. That's good. But what the hell would you do with them? They can't really be ambulances,
health visitors? Is it ambulance response cars? But I don't know.
It's health visitors that have really got to ramp up the amount of people they visit, so they've got to be able to thrash it between each house.
Well, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It doesn't give any more information. It's just 500 for the NHS.
500. Yeah, NHS, if anyone's listening from the NHS, can we have some more info? I'm just keen to know. Just keen to know where they're going, what they're going to be used for. Maybe there's a feature in it somewhere. But the good thing from Jaguar's point of view is there is a waiting list. I think that's great. There are people who want that car because it's a brilliant car. It's only the... Yeah, it is a good car. But also I can see it in the not too distant future getting face and tech lifted to the point where it's probably a little bit more efficient again, because I think as a designer, the car, the body, the cabin and everything, I think is still up there with far more expensive cars. People are moaning and saying, oh, it's a really expensive car. Well, it's a 60 grand car, but I think it has the feel inside of a car that's 90 grand. The interior is amazing in that car, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's just beautiful. Hang on, what's this? Pininfarina Battista. That's the old the electric hypercar, isn't it? What are sales doing? Apparently well in North America, not so well in Europe. Volume is split 80-20 in the two markets it has so far been revealed in, with a global tour due to begin. In the US, pre-orders doubled after the cars showing at the Pebble Beach concourse. That's interesting. When you say doubled, I mean, we don't know. Is that 4 cars sold now?
It's gone from
20
2 to 4. Yes, it's not going to be thousands, is it? And the
Renault,
the
Nissan, Mitsubishi, Daimler, Mercedes partnership, the alliance as they call it, remains alive and well, apparently, according to the CEO of Merck, Ola Kalenius, despite his decision to switch the Smart brand strategy away from the Renault Twingo to Geely. Interesting. The alliance remains firmly in place. We will continue to work on several powertrains and other options, because of course Smart are about to bring out their EQ, which is the
fully electric Smart.
Yeah, which is now no Smarts will be available in anything other than electric flavour, and they'll have a different. They'll have a facelift.
It does look different. That picture looks. I wouldn't if I just glanced at that and didn't know. I wouldn't say that's a Smart. It looks.
No, I'm looking forward to the Smart EQ. I'd say. Aside from the fact it's my daughter's favourite car ever, and she just constantly asks me when I'm next going to be borrowing a Smart. It's the EQ range is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully it'll have. It's kind of what the Smart was born for, to be
absolutely.
EV, really.
Yeah.
But that is good.
Yeah,
that is good. Yeah.
And also, I just want to say, Johnny, because I've barely seen you since you did that, but in fact, I haven't seen you since you did that. The take-and drive that you did from Gothenburg to Copenhagen.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Great. I mean, apart from the fact that it was a lovely show to watch, because that's still a thrill for me that there's an episode of Fully Charged that I haven't seen anything of it at all. I hadn't seen one frame of footage until it goes out, and then I watch it, and I'm all excited. I get my tea ready, put my feet up, But that was
it's the same. The same with you. We don't when we work remotely, for weeks on end. First I see is sometimes the finished article of yours.
Yeah.
And I especially enjoyed the JCB, the electric JCB.
The Digger was fun.
It was very good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but the Taycan looks amazing. It does look like an amazing car. I mean, was it good? Was it cool to drive it that far? I mean, in terms of long-term comfort, because that's often a thing we can't judge in an hour's driving.
It was superb.
Right.
I mean, I really. Yeah, you can criticise its looks, and that's down to the individual. But the way it drove was just really good.
Yeah.
It really hides that weight. It hides the fact that it's a 2.3 ton car so well.
Right.
And it felt like it was, for a sports car, its efficiency was all right.
Yeah.
I love the driving experience. Like, I have to say, I was just really like, yes, I could live with this car. Damn it, I haven't got 115,000. But I'm hoping for the slightly cheaper ones to come along. Yeah. And I think it is definitely getting the interest of a lot of non-electric car enthusiasts or non-electric enthusiasts up until this point. It always lights the fuse of Tesla worshippers, always, and there's not enough hours in the day to reply to them all.
Yeah.
But like you said in our last news episode, is like these companies can coexist. Yes. It's not like Tesla has to kill everybody else, or everybody else has to kill Tesla.
Yeah.
It doesn't need, in certain circumstances, the Model 3 or the highest end Model S is a better car.
Yeah.
But why do you think people drive around in Porsches now? Because they like the badge and they want a Porsche to feel like a Porsche, and they want to be seen in one.
Yeah.
And that's their choice, right?
Yes, exactly.
In the same way that really in an ideal world, and I had a dream about this as well, in an ideal world, I'd like Honda to have a very close relationship with Kia and Hyundai, so that basically I want the Honda E-body on the current Kona or E-Niro.
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
So I can buy a Honda E for 30 grand and it will do 300 miles.
Yeah.
Can we make that happen?
I don't know how.
Please?
I think they should have meetings at the UN about it.
I want to be in those UN meetings. I do.
Yeah.
The UN EV meetings. UNEV. We're a new breakaway faction.
That'd be quite good.
UNEV.
I'd quite like the badge if I was from UNEV.
UNEV.
Sir, stand away from your petrol engine. I'm from UNEV.
Is it short for inevitable or something like that? It's not even a word.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But we've got, I mean, the lovely thing is we've got some juicy eps coming up on the old fully charged YouTube
Listen
channel.
to you with your street language.
I know.
Juicy eps?
Yeah. We're literally smashing them out. We're banging them and smashing them out.
We are laying a lot of promising episode eggs. I have to take my virtual hat off to the small but solid fully charged team.
They are amazing, aren't they? Yeah.
There's a lot that people think that because the subscribers are going up on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, that we are some huge monster.
It's a and
we're really not.
Very small team that's running on a very frayed, constantly strained shoestring.
We are, and we're trying. It's nice to have. It's nice to be listened to.
Yeah,
it's
nice
fantastic.
To have influence. It is fantastic. No, we're very lucky that it's doing what it's doing. Yeah, no, it's great. And I mean, there's some we've got some amazing episodes coming up soon, which is really good. And I mean, the fact that we just done the Zoe video, and because often when car manufacturers go, Robert, there is an embargo on the news of this. I go, seriously, don't worry, this is fully charged. If we get it out this year, we've done well. But for once, we're actually managing. We're literally smashing those embargoes. We're getting them out when it's meant to be.
We're shoehorning. There's a lot of shoehorning.
There's a whole row of fully charged shoehorns now, and they're getting worn.
Oh, and they're pre-coated in goose fat, ready to go.
Yeah, but it's organic, fair trade goose fat.
Oh, sorry, it's not actually goose. No, it's not actually goose fat.
It's a goose fat derivative that's made of tofu.
It's sunflower oil.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I got it mixed up with goose fat. It's not. It's sunflower.
It's
oil.
Recycled car seat belts and sunflower oil.
Absolutely.
I love that. Do you know what? That really, I know I should be impressed with the range and the handling and the Renault. The fact that I triple check this, all the plastic parts that you can see in the cabin of a Renault Zoe are made of plastic bottles and old plastic car parts. So like even the kind of plastic bracket that held up a fuse box under a bonnet, or the plastic light mouldings around the front of an old, a car. They mash that up, melt it down, use it to make the interior. I mean, you wouldn't know from looking at it. I said what I think they should do is with each moulded, like the dash fascia bit, that's all one big piece of plastic. They should pay someone to put in an Evian bottle top, the blue one, so that you can still see it. So it's moulded in, it's flush, it doesn't stick out, but you can tell, that's a bottle top.
Well, you laugh, but in a couple of years, when
it's not impossible to do.
When this method of recycling is mainstream in the likes of the car world, we're going to see, that obviously then the barrier, the bar has to be set even higher, so people are going to go, well, what do you want to see? What textures do you like? What? Would it be good to just shred a load of blue bottle tops and have just this whole mad sea of multicoloured blue surface on the top of the dash? It sounds awful, but it could actually be really tasteful.
Be really cool, yeah.
And it invites a whole new layer of creativity.
Yeah.
And I still use the i3 interior as the benchmark for that. It's still blimmin' excellent.
It is, isn't it? That still stands. Isn't that amazing? Because how old is that car now? Because that's still, when I get in an i3, I go, oh my God, I've forgotten just how cool this is.
Is that coming up for 7?
It's got to be at least 7 years. And
I think it's 7 years old.
And it doesn't, for me, the exterior, I suppose I'm used to, because I'm in London at the moment, there's so many of them around. But whenever I look inside, I go, that is still really cool interior. That is just it throughout
totally.
In a way, I think better than the Model S, and that's going to annoy some Tesla fanboys.
No, it is. It's two fingers to convention, and well done BM for doing that. It's just, what do we want? We want maximum space. We want nice, airy, open lounge feel. Mad textures that nobody's really been brave enough to use so far. It's just cool,
and it is if I travel west from where I am now through the Badlands of Notting Hill, and when I say Badlands, I mean if you can't afford £7 or £8 million for a 2-bedroom flat, it's a Badland. It's not a poor area. But the amount of i3s on the street parked around Notting Hill, where 5 years ago, it would all have been Range Rovers and Porsche Cayennes. It's really caught on around there. It's a real big thing. They've got loads of Ubitricity lamppost chargers. It's quite interesting. I mean, there's no question that is the wealthy elite. I'm not going to lie to you. There's not. Although it's a very mixed housing area, because there is the Notting Hill Housing Trust, which is like normal people can live there. So I like that, the fact that it's still quite mixed. But yeah, there's a lot.
I wonder if you'll see some Honda E's over in that area in the next 18 months.
Will the Honda E appeal to that? Because they definitely are a status symbol. The i3 has become a bit of a sort of, that is definitely...
It's the acceptable face of an eco school run car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically.
But also, I've just remembered the other thing. Sorry, I mustn't keep raving on about the bloody Renault Zoe, but... They have spent...
You can, Robert. That's what these podcasts are for. You just can.
But one of the things that I don't think I mentioned, because I think I heard about it after we'd finished driving, is their service centres. They've done this massive upgrade of all their Renault service centres so that they can do servicing safely and professionally on the Renault Zoe. And they're claiming to have the biggest network of service. Obviously, mostly this is in France for high voltage. People have been trained to do high voltage, so they can swap batteries if they need to. They can, repair the car. They can do all that stuff. And there's no, you don't have to go to a special individual. You have to
that
take
is
it.
Good. Yeah,
you live in Lyon, and you've got to drive to Marseille to get the car serviced. No, it's So, and that's same in this country. So that's and I think that was a thing that I discovered slightly too late to put in. But yeah, no, that was impressive.
I mean, neither of us are paid by Renault to say this, but I would say, if you're thinking of buying an electric car, and you might, up until this point, have thought, I don't know, I want a premium name, an Audi, a Volkswagen, all the ubiquitous ones. Go and try a Renault Zoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're brilliant.
Yeah.
They've always been really, really good, I think. It's a lovely car. I think it's aged exceptionally well.
Yeah, it has. And the new one is such a refreshing reboot. It's really good. We should stop. I think we should stop because
Should we stop, Robert?
Yes.
Stop.
Stop.
This is getting out of hand. Just stop it already.
It's insane.
For goodness sake,
but I'm quite proud because we've actually done under an hour. Not much under an hour, but because normally we sort of go, let's stop, and it's an hour and 40 minutes. I'm going, oh my God.
No, I'm stopping. That's it. I'm stopping.
You absolutely stop, Johnny. That's great. It's been lovely chatting with you. I hope everyone who's listening has enjoyed our slightly meandering waffle through the annals of electric car development.
Yes, well, thank you, podcasters. If you're still hanging in there, we try and deliver a variety.
Yeah.
And as the nights close in, we will try and do some more intimate
gigs. We'll do some more intimate gigs. Actually,
on a weekly basis.
We should mention that we're on me and dates. Do you remember when I couldn't remember the dates of Fully Charged Live, and it was right next to me, 1st and 2nd of February? I've learnt now. But the other one is...
I do remember that.
When we're actually in Paris, for any French listeners. We don't have a lot of French listeners, but there are some. We're in Paris to record a live podcast in front of an audience at Autonomie, which is on the, I'm just checking, 17th of October. So we're doing a live podcast recording there in Paris. That's right. And it's a very, I went to that, the first time they did Autonomy in Paris was really interesting, and apparently it's expanded enormously. So it's a good show because it's very much broader than just cars. I mean, they've really got a lot of transportation. There's loads of bikes and scooters and weird single wheel things that apparently anyone can. Anyone can
Paris.
Ride. Yeah, in Paris.
Paris has got so much electric stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably said I took the kids there for a short holiday at the end of the summer holidays. And aside from the very strong smell of urine,
yes,
everything else was very, very electric centric. It was my son did keep asking me why it all smelt of weed.
Yes,
but apart from that, it was really good, really fascinating. So many electric scooters and one-wheelers and
brilliant, isn't it?
Shareable EV cars and
bikes,
delivery vans. I saw.
No, it's really changed up.
Loads of e-bikes.
Because the smell of urine, a reflection. Because I lived in Paris quite a lot in my youth, and I don't remember smelling that. You did smell it every now and then, but it was masked by the smell of Gauloise. So so much fewer. So everywhere you went was like there were people smoking their 800th Gauloise of the day. So you didn't smell the urine. You couldn't, because your nose you were choking on Gauloise smoke. And now people are fractionally healthier. They are only smoking, say, 40 or 50 Gauloise a day.
I'd like all of the perfume and aftershave that never gets sold because it's very unpopular. Like Katie Price, whatever it's called, Love Me Because I'm a Slag, down to $2.99, half a litre of it. Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody cares anymore. Just tip it over some of these flagstones that have drenched in Waz, and actually make it try and make it smell better.
I don't know what it is. Because if you ever used one of the... We shouldn't be... We're supposed to stop. The street urinals.
We're supposed to stop. We're talking about urine on the pavement.
Ben's allowed to cut this. But the stand-up urinals in Paris, which there are still some left, where you're literally... You just sort of go behind a screen. You can see people's heads. You can watch it. You're looking out the street. You're having a Waz. And I've done it in there. But I found it quite hard. I couldn't go. Even though I was busting.
Oh, stage fright. Stage fright.
Yeah, I had stage fright. But no one can really see you, but they know that you're standing behind a metal screen in the middle of a street in Paris.
with your dingling out. Yeah.
It's kind of
That's
odd.
Not right.
Yeah. They're much more relaxed about the whole urine thing in Paris. It's not the same as the rest of the world. Anyway, that's enough. We must stop.
I am going to stop talking.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm going to thank everybody for listening and subscribing to this podcast. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, then you're strange and you should have done it by now. And what else do I need to say, Robert?
We should thank our lovely Patreons, because they are amazing and they keep being amazing. If they were amazing for like a week, that would be amazing. But they've been amazing. Some of them have been amazing for years. It's extraordinary.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so big thank you to the Patreon supporters. And all the links, we'll put all the links to these stories in the show notes beneath this episode. There we go. That's the full whack of my professionalism for this entire show.
I love that voice, the broadcast broadcast voice.
It is the radio broadcast voice. It's Bob's show on the radio with a really rubbish 1970s jingle. But that's it. No, brilliant. Thank you for listening, and lovely to talk to you, Jonny, and I will see you soon, I hope, and I'll see all of you on the YouTubes very soon.
For sure. Good day to you.